For decades, the story of air combat was simple. The jet you can't see, you can't kill. This was the gospel of stealth, preached from the highest levels of the Pentagon and embodied by its most expensive disciples, the F-22 Raptor and the F-35 Lightning II. The whole idea was that by shaping a plane to deflect radar and coating it in special materials, you could create a ghost, an invisible predator, untouchable by the old world systems. This philosophy cost trillions. It defined defense budgets and became the bedrock of American air dominance. The F-35 was supposed to be the peak of this vision, a flying supercompute wrapped in an invisibility cloak. It was, we were told, the undisputed king of the sky. But what if that entire premise is starting to crack? What if the secret to hunting this ghost isn't to look for it with radar, but to feel its presence in the air? What if the very laws of physics that let a 50,000 lb machine tear through the sky are the same laws that give away its location? Sweden's Griffin fighter isn't trying to find the F-35 with radar. It's watching for the heat trail it simply can't hide. And in doing so, it's exposed a fundamental flaw in the stealth playbook. A flaw that might just leave the world's most expensive fighter jet flying dangerously blind. So, how did we get here? Well, it all goes back to the Cold War. The skies over Europe were a hornet's nest of overlapping radar, a dense web designed to spot any incoming threat. The guiding rule was to see the enemy first. This kicked off an arms race in radar tech: bigger, more powerful, and smarter systems. But the engineers at Lockheed's legendary Skunk Works decided to play a different game. Instead of building a better radar, they asked, what if we made a plane that just doesn't show up on radar at all? That question gave birth to the F-17 Nighthawk, the world's first true stealth aircraft. It wasn't fast or nimble, but it had a superpower. Its bizarre flat-paneled design could bounce most radar energy away from the source. To a radar operator, it was a ghost. The F-17's success in the Gulf War cemented the doctrine of stealth. The future, it seemed, belonged to planes that could hide in plain sight. This led directly to the F-22 and later the F-35. These fifth-gen fighters were built from the ground up to have a tiny radar cross-section, or RCS. Think of RCS as the plane's electronic shadow. A normal fighter like an F-16 might have the RCS of a big truck. The F-35's RCS, meanwhile, is often compared to a metal marble or a golf ball. This magic trick is done two ways. First, shaping. The F-35's smooth surfaces and carefully angled wings and tails are designed to scatter radio waves anywhere but back to the enemy radar. Second, radar-absorbent materials, or RAM. These are special coatings that literally soak up radar energy and turn it into a tiny bit of heat. The result is a fighter that can sneak past enemy air defenses and engage targets before they even know it's there. The F-35's own powerful ASA radar would let it see first, shoot first, and win the fight before it even started. For years, this was considered an unbeatable advantage. This was the myth of invincibility, built on a foundation of radar physics. But every myth has a weak spot. And the F-35's isn't in the electromagnetic spectrum. It's in the laws of thermodynamics. Here's the thing. There's one tiny, inescapable truth about every jet fighter ever built. It's a machine locked in a constant, violent battle with physics. And that battle creates huge, impossible-to-hide signatures. Stealth, for all its genius, is a one-trick pony. It's brilliantly focused on one thing and one thing only: defeating active radar. It does nothing to hide the aircraft from physics itself. First, there's friction. When a jet smashes through the air at high speed, the air molecules rubbing against its skin generate incredible heat. An F-22 flying at Mach 1.5 can see skin temperatures of over 100 degrees C, especially on the nose and wing edges, the parts pointing right at the enemy. You can't make something move that fast through the air without making it hot. It's physically impossible. The second, much bigger source of heat is the engine. The F-35 is powered by the Pratt & Whitney F-135, one of the most powerful fighter engines ever. To generate over 40,000 lb of thrust, it burns fuel at blistering temperatures and blasts out a superheated column of gas. Even with advanced nozzles designed to mix this exhaust with cooler air, the resulting plume is a massive beacon in the infrared spectrum against the cold, thin air of the upper atmosphere. It stands out like a bonfire in a dark forest, and this is the fatal flaw. While designers can shrink a plane's radar signature by a factor of 1,000, cutting its heat signature is way harder. The best efforts might only reduce it by a factor of 2 or 5. You can't make a 40,000 lb fighter cold. Its very existence is a thermal event. This creates a new game. Active radar is like using a flashlight in a dark room. You send out a pulse of energy. It bounces off the target and you look for the reflection. Stealth fighters are designed like mirrors angled away from you. They reflect the light, but not back to your eyes. Passive infrared detection, on the other hand, is like a thermal camera. It doesn't send out any energy, it just watches for heat. It's not looking for a reflection, it's looking for the light source itself. A fighter using its radar is screaming its location. A fighter using a passive sensor is just listening, and it's listening for the one thing the F-35 can't hide. While America was betting the farm on stealth, engineers at Saab in Sweden were playing a totally different game. As a small nation, building their own trillion-dollar stealth fighter was never in the cards. So, they focused on efficiency, flexibility, and a game-changing idea: superior situational awareness through advanced sensors and data links. Their goal wasn't to build a fighter that could hide, but one that could see everything without being seen itself. The result is the JS-39 Gripen E. At the heart of the Gripen's counter-stealth punch is a system called IRST, or Infrared Search and Track. It's that unassuming little bubble on the nose of the plane right in front of the cockpit. Inside is a sophisticated thermal camera cryogenically chilled to near absolute zero to make it incredibly sensitive. Unlike radar, the IRST is totally passive. It emits zero energy. That means an F-35 pilot has no clue they're being watched. The Gripen can fly dark with its own radar off, just scanning the sky for heat signatures. And these systems are shockingly good. The Gripen E Skyward G ESTA is built to find the two things a stealth fighter can't hide: skin friction and engine exhaust. While the exact numbers are classified, it's understood that modern IRSTs can spot the hot exhaust of a fighter from behind at distances that may exceed 90 kilometers under good conditions. Detecting the frontal heat from skin friction is tougher, but ranges around 50 kilometers are considered achievable. That's a huge problem for an F-35 pilot who thinks they're invisible. But the IRST is just one piece of the puzzle. The real magic in the Gripen E is sensor fusion. The plane sucks in data from its IRST, its own advanced radar, its electronic warfare suite, and this is the key part: its data link. A flight of Gripens can share sensor data in real time. Picture this: 4 Gripens are flying in a formation spread out. 3 of them are completely silent. Radar's off, IRST's on. The 4th Gripen far away flicks on its radar for just a few seconds, gets a single ping on a target's location, and then goes silent again. That blip of data is instantly shared with the other 3 Gripens. Their IRSTs are all cued to the same patch of sky. Now, multiple passive sensors are looking at the same target from different angles. By triangulating the infrared data, the Gripen formation can build a weapons-grade track on the F-35, all without the F-35 pilot ever getting a single radar warning. They are blissfully unaware that they're being tracked and targeted. This completely flips the script. It turns the F-35's powerful radar into a liability. Every time an F-35 pilot turns on their radar to look for someone, it's like lighting a flare in the dark, telling every Gripen in the area exactly where to point its passive sensors. The Gripen doesn't need to beat the F-35 stealth. It just sidesteps the whole game. So what does all this mean? The implications here are huge. The whole promise of the F-35 was to own the sky through information dominance, using stealth to get close and sensors to see everything first. But if your opponent can see you without you ever knowing they're there, that advantage just disappears. And this isn't just a theory. Countries are noticing. Brazil and the Czech Republic have chosen the Gripen E. Even Canada, an F-35 partner, had a long, heated debate about buying Gripens instead. These countries aren't just buying a cheaper plane, they're buying into a whole new way of fighting. This crisis of confidence is being made worse by an almost unbelievable problem inside the F-35 program itself. Just as rivals are perfecting their passive sensors, the US has started accepting delivery of brand new F-35s that are for all practical purposes radarless. The problem is a massively delayed upgrade called Technology Refresh 3 TR3. The hardware for this upgrade includes a new, more powerful radar, the APG-85. But the new radar isn't ready. And here's the kicker. The new F-35s coming off the production line are built to fit the new radar. The old proven APG-81 radar physically doesn't fit. The result is a production nightmare. Rather than stopping the line, Lockheed Martin is delivering jets with what is essentially a placeholder installed in the nose where the multi-million-dollar radar should be. These jets can fly, but their combat capability is crippled. Without its primary sensor, the aircraft is very nearsighted, not ready for a real fight until a future uncertain retrofit. It's a staggering irony. Just as its biggest advantage is being challenged, the world's most advanced fighter is being delivered without its most important sensor. Now, the story isn't totally one-sided. The F-35 is far from a sitting duck. It has its own incredibly powerful infrared system called the Distributed Aperture System, or DAS. This is a network of 6 IR cameras that give the pilot a full 360-degree thermal view of the world. In a duel, an F-35 could use its DAS to try and passively spot the Gripen. The fight then becomes a high-tech contest of signatures and sensitivities. Whose IRST can see whose heat signature first? On top of that, IRSTs aren't perfect. Their performance can be degraded by clouds and humidity. And while they can spot a target, getting a precise range without multiple aircraft triangulating is very difficult. The future of air combat isn't stealth is dead. It's evolving into a complex game of cat and mouse played across the entire electromagnetic and infrared spectrum. It's about who can best manage their own signature, who has the most sensitive passive sensors, and who has the best network to share data. The rise of passive sensors hasn't made the F-35 obsolete, but it has shattered the myth of its invincibility. And then there's the elephant in the room, the money. The F-35's eye-watering cost is its most controversial feature. The cost per flight hour is estimated to be somewhere between $34,000 and $42,000. A single 90-minute training sortie can burn through over $60,000. Ouch! The Gripen E, by contrast, was designed from the start to be affordable. While the exact numbers are debated, most analyses put its cost per flight hour at half that of the F-35, with some estimates putting it around $22,000 per hour or even less. This forces a tough question for air forces everywhere. What's the smarter buy? A small fleet of hyper-expensive stealth jets that are costly to fly? Or a larger fleet of more affordable yet highly capable fighters that you can train with more often? When a cheaper plane like the Gripen can exploit a key weakness in the more expensive one, the F-35's value proposition gets a lot murkier. F-35 supporters argue you're paying for a revolutionary capability, but the Gripen's philosophy challenges that head-on. Saab argues that a worked squadron of Gripens can achieve a level of situational awareness that rivals or even beats a lone F-35, all for a fraction of the cost over the aircraft's lifetime. This isn't just about the sticker price. The Gripen was designed to be maintained by a small crew and operate from dispersed locations like highways. A relic of Sweden's Cold War strategy, the F-35, with its complex systems and sensitive stealth coatings, needs a massive and expensive logistical tail. This difference has real-world consequences. It affects how many hours pilots can fly, how many jets are ready at any given time, and what strategic trade-offs a nation has to make. The Gripen presents a powerful argument that you can get next-generation results without a next-generation price tag. And in a world of passive sensors, the most expensive solution isn't always the best one. The era of air combat defined by radar and stealth is ending. A new game is beginning, one where passive detection and dorked warfare are the keys to winning. But that's my take. What do you think? Has the rise of IRST technology truly neutered the F-35's main advantage? Or are its own sensors like the DAS more than enough to handle the threat? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to stay on top of the fast-moving world of military tech, make sure to subscribe. For 70 years, air superiority belonged to those who could see without being seen. Stealth was the ultimate cloak of invisibility, but Sweden's engineers have shown that invisibility is an illusion, one that only works if your enemy is playing by the old rules. The Gripen E doesn't hide. It listens. It doesn't shout with radar. It watches with heat. It doesn't fight alone. It fights as a network. The F-35 was designed to be the unbeatable king of a radar-defined world, but that world is changing. A new one is emerging where the basic physics of flight have become a beacon where passive sensors rule and where there's no hiding from the heat. Sweden didn't try to build a better stealth fighter. They built a smarter one. And in doing so, they've challenged the entire idea that radar stealth is the ultimate trump card. The question is no longer whether stealth can survive radar, but whether a doctrine built on stealth can survive in a world that is learning how to see in the